Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. Rahul Gandhi's Lok Sabha membership has been restored this morning by the Lok Sabha Secretariat after Supreme Court put a stay on his conviction in the 2019 Modi surname defamation case. Though there had been a delay of 3 days because the Supreme Court order came on Friday and today is Monday when his membership has been restored. Now that Rahul's MP status is back, he returns to Parliament. What does it mean for the India alliance? What does it mean for Rahul Gandhi? And of course, are we heading towards a Rahul versus Modi narrative? Apart from this, as you already see on the screen who's there with us, I'm also going to talk during this course of the interview about the communal violence in Haryana. Yes, I'm joined by Dr. Yogendra Yadav, the Swaraj India leader, psephologist, political commentator. So thank you so much for joining on the Federal. And so my first question, of course, is related to Rahul Gandhi, that now that Rahul returns to Parliament, what does this moment really mean for you politically?
It's a moral victory for Congress, for Rahul Gandhi. And it is a partial reversal of a very weird episode in Indian judicial history. Because the manner in which the whole thing happened, the fact that the speech is given in Karnataka, but the case takes place in Surat, the manner in which the trial takes place, and that absolutely inexplicable judgment in the history of India, I do not know of a single case where someone was given 2 years of jail for defamation. So an extraordinary judgment without any reason why such an extraordinary judgment was given. Then it goes to High Court. There is a very strange recusal by a judge. Then it goes to Sessions Court, and we know something about the background of the judge there. Then it comes to High Court, where there is a recusal, and so on. And the whole episode is so strange that anyone who was looking at Indian judicial system would not come back with a very high opinion of what India's criminal justice system is all about. So fortunately, and thank God, finally the Supreme Court steps in and asks those elementary questions that someone should have asked on day one. Why this kind of punishment? The court has, of course, restrained itself from commenting on the merits of the case. But the merits of case are also unusual. And if this is defamation, then I think the Union Cabinet, the whole of Union Cabinet should also be in jail. But politically speaking, it's important that Rahul Gandhi is back. It's important that he is back when the no confidence motion will be considered. But there are two things that we need to remember. Number one, while Rahul Gandhi's presence in the parliament is important in this no confidence motion case, Rahul Gandhi has not quite been the leading voice of the opposition in the parliament. The one thing that you do remember is his speech on the Adani issue, which he raised on the presidential thanks motion. I guess that's probably the best role for Gandhi. So the questions what I would look forward to is to say, okay, what does he talk about when he speaks on the no confidence motion? Does he bring up the Modani issue? Because he raised the Adani issue with some courage, with deep conviction. In the last few months, it's kind of petered off. Does he use the occasion to bring that back again? More importantly, does he think that Parliament is the principal arena for him to launch an attack on this government? Or would he do what he did in the Bharat Jodo Yatra, namely consider Sadak, not Sansad, as the principal arena? Because the fact, Neelu, is that the manner in which our Parliament is being run, all the parliamentary procedures have been set aside, both in Lok Sabha and in Rajya Sabha. And honestly, not much is really happening in the parliament. The principal site of opposition in our country is the street. And so the important thing is whether Rahul Gandhi takes to streets, as he did, and did very successfully and famously. Does he do that? That for me would be the real question. I would also wait to see whether he takes, what happens with his house, which was taken away at such speed and in such a brazen and low-grade manner.
Right.
What does the government do with it, and what he does it with is also something to be seen.
Right. Dr. Yadav, you just mentioned that, it's we have to wait and see whether Rahul Gandhi goes back to the street again. Are you hinting at the second leg of the Bharat Jodo Yatra, which was supposed to be implemented from west to east? Do you know anything, what is happening of that yatra? Because, of course, the Bharat Jodo Yatra, you were also an important component of that behind the planning and everything. What is happening on the second leg of the yatra? Are we going to see Rahul Gandhi in the same form? But people do express doubts about the fact that because there are elections in important states like Chhattisgarh, then you have Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, he might not be present to that scale. So what is really happening as far as the second yatra is concerned?
That's the prerogative of the Congress party, as indeed the first phase was. And I'm sure they're thinking, they're planning, and taking all these things into account. Bharat Jodo Yatra can mean two different things. It can mean, one, a physical walk, as the first yatra was from one point to another point of the destination. The other, it could mean, is ground level, a series of ground level campaigns. What the Bharat Jodo Yatra demonstrated beyond doubt is that Rahul is at his best when he is among the people.
Right.
And Delhi is not necessarily the best place for him to be in. Now, for me, the important question is not so much the itinerary of the proposed second phase of the yatra, whether it happens or not, etc. The real issue is, does Rahul Gandhi take to find ways to be amongst the people on issues that matter to them, issues that he has raised? Issues like unemployment, which is a massive issue. Issues like price rise, which is not merely about inflation. When Indian people talk about price rise, when the Indian poor talk about price rise, they are actually talking about lack of purchasing power. They're talking about their poverty.
Right.
So there is unemployment, there is price rise. There is the question of the farmers. Who have once again faced hardship during the season that's gone by, which might end up affecting the crops now. And there is the larger issue of corporate takeover, corporate loot that Rahul Gandhi has himself raised again and again. In the case of Mr. Adani, which has become the most glaring and the most representative case. So is Rahul Gandhi going to involve himself in street level campaigns? That is more important, which is connected now not merely to Congress party, but also to the larger coalition called India.
Right.
I have argued that India should not be seen through the old prism of opposition unity, of bringing together votes and seats of opposition parties. The real success of India as a coalition will be if it becomes a coalition of struggle, coalition of communication also. So that's something I really am looking forward to understanding, learning more about whether the opposition can launch, led by Rahul Gandhi, Congress, or by others, joint leadership, whatever way they want it. Is the opposition going to be on the streets on some of these core issues? If they are, that can be the turning point for in the run-up to 2024.
Right. But since Rahul is back now after a gap of 136 days, do you think that this is a big boost for India alliance? Or you would have partners like Mamata Banerjee, though Khargeji in his last meeting had said that Congress has given up its claim to the post for the prime minister's seat. But even then, the prime ministerial ambitions of people like Mamata Banerjee, Nitish Kumar, they are not hidden. And people do know about the fact that maybe if they come around, there could be some decision on that. So from that perspective, will Rahul's presence really be welcomed by India Alliance?
Look, Rahul was present in the Bangalore meeting as well. Of course, he's around, whether he was in the parliament or not. His presence in the coalition is there. And I think the India coalition has wisely skirted the issue of leadership. Honestly, there's no need for them to. given the way our electoral geography is structured. Now, in Bengal, what would the opposition gain by projecting Rahul Gandhi as the prime ministerial face? In Rajasthan, whether you announce it or not, for people of Rajasthan, he would be the prime ministerial face of the opposition in any case. So our electoral geography is structured in such a way that you really don't need that much to project a face. So not discussing, not getting into the prime ministerial face issue is the wisest thing for India coalition. And honestly, no matter what you discuss right now, it will be decided by numbers at the end of it.
Absolutely.
So the real question is, well, does India coalition get more seats than BJP does?
Right.
And if so, who gets the most number of seats?
Right.
That is what is going to determine. No parlays right now are going to settle that issue in any case.
Absolutely. Dr. Yadav, now to the interesting question that since Rahul is going to be back in Parliament, he's going to be back with all his might to fight the Modi persona. Now, everybody is asking, what will it look like when Modi faces Rahul now? What would you say to that political moment, though we are yet to see, because Rahul, I'm told, has just entered the parliament. But what when he starts speaking, starts questioning again the Modi government?
I think it's an interesting point. And it's become more interesting. I mean, Rahul was there in the parliament. And it is not that Rahul's speech was considered the most important moment of Indian politics, but it has become today because of what is seen, rightly so, as a concerted attempt to keep him out. The absolutely brazen manner in which the government of the day has gone about to secure his absence now makes his presence more important than it was to begin with. So the BJP must get the credit for making Rahul Gandhi more important to the parliamentary proceedings than he was to begin with. Does it mean that it would become Modi versus Rahul in the parliament in this debate? Of course it will. But in the long run, will this become the most important thing? I think the opposition might not wish to make it so because Mr. Modi's presence as a public speaker, as a public communicator, and the entire persona that he has built around him for the last 9 years with huge effort, enormous money, media empires, everything contributing to a myth. I don't know if it's a wise idea to pit Rahul Gandhi against that as the principal arena of 2024 politics. I think it's maybe the opposition might wish to take another route, which is to say, we are fighting this government,
Right.
and the governmental policies are the real issues. What is happening on the communal front is the real issue. What is happening to our economy is the real issue. And yes, we have alternatives. Yes, we have more than one faces.
Right.
Do remember.
Which means,
that,
Dr. Yadav, which means, I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that means that are we going to see two levels of fight? One is inside parliament, which obviously will be Rahul versus Modi, and one which you said, as on the streets, is going to be opposition versus the Modi government, where all the issues will be raked up. We'll talk about the muddas, Banam Modi. That's what the muddas, the issues versus the Modi. Is that how it's going to pan out for 2024?
in parliament, Rahul's presence would matter more simply because Mamata Banerjee is not in the parliament. Nitish Kumar is not in the parliament. So Rahul is clearly the only big leader in that sense from opposition who will be leading the charge. But in the battle for 2024, while people will have Rahul Gandhi at the back of their mind, because after all, an ordinary voter, even in Bengal, thinks about, okay, who in Delhi can be the prime minister, etc. So while Rahul Gandhi remains a back of mind consideration, and all that Pappu image has been washed away in any case. So now it has so earlier the question was Modi versus who? Now that blank has been filled without a clear face. And yes, to my mind, when the opposition takes on when we are in the run-up to 2024, the opposition takes on the campaigning and so on. I don't think it will be one face being projected by India coalition throughout the country. It will be Mamata Banerjee's face in Tamil Nadu, in Bengal, Stalin's face in Tamil Nadu, Rahul Gandhi's face in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and many other places, and so on. That's bound to be the case. And yes, Mudda will be the more important thing. And it is only closer to the actual decision, as and when the stage arises for that, that this question will come up. But the simple arithmetic of that is that there is no way the opposition can form the government unless Congress touches something like 100 seats.
Right.
That's simply arithmetically not possible.
Right.
And if one party has 100 and no other party has even 50, then the dice is loaded in favor of the party which has 100. This is simple arithmetic, but in any case, I don't think we need to get into prematurely settling this question. And I think Congress is being very wise now in not putting this question at the not foregrounding this question at this stage.
Before I go on to the new communal violence, the Haryana communal violence, one more question that with this episode of what has happened to Rahul Gandhi, that, he was, BJP tried to wipe him out from parliament. Now he's back again with all the moral might. Do you think that BJP has really lost a face here as far as in terms of battle of perception?
In this episode, they indeed have. I mean, they tried to, so basically, if I'm an ordinary person, not a pakka, staunch Rahul supporter or Congress supporter, perhaps someone who voted for BJP, but not a proper RSS supporter, what's my impression? My impression is, they were trying to oust him from parliament. Look, the fellow had won his seat. Why are you playing this game? And finally, you didn't even succeed. So you would, so it's dono taraf se gaye na. You played dirty and you didn't succeed. So yes, they come out looking dirty and foolish. But yeah, these are games that happen in politics.
Right. Now coming to the Haryana violence, Dr. Yadav, Nu witnessed some horrific violence, which apparently that area, you come from the Nu area, and no one better than you would be able to tell us that what is the social fabric of that area. But why do you think that the communal violence was instigated in that particular area, which was known for its composite culture?
I come from the district next to Nu. My district is Rewari, and the parliamentary area that I've worked in includes Nu. Nuhu is, and I've been working there for last 22 years. In 2001, I went there for the first time. We had a Jayaprakash Narayan centenary yatra when I first encountered Nuhu. Nuhu, or the area called Mewat. Mewat is a larger area that includes the bit of Haryana called Nuhu, a bit of Rajasthan from district Alwar called Mewat, and a tiny bit from Uttar Pradesh, Mathura area. This area is Muslim majority. Muslims are anything between 60 to 80% in different parts. In Nuhu, they are 70% plus. The Muslims here are very recent converts. And many of their practices, till 50 years ago, they had fere during their marriage, which is not what you have among Muslims. And till 50 years ago, many of them would carry names like Ram Khan, Lakshman Khan, and so on. And so this is a very recent convert community, an area where, and this is the only pocket of Muslim concentration that survived the partition in the entire Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan area. And survived for a very special reason, because Mahatma Gandhi personally came there to village Khasera and said, "It's your country, please do not leave this." He gave a personal assurance. The father of the nation gave a personal assurance to these people. And upon his assurance, 70,000 people walked back on foot from borders of Pakistan back to Mewat today. So it's an extraordinary story of our culture. This area did not see riots in the post-partition days, did not see riots even after the demolition of Babri Masjid in 1992. For the last few years, RSS and its associates, various organizations, Sangha Parivar, has been trying to do something in this area, trying to instigate some kind of a situation. And let's not forget that most of the lynching cases that the country knew about right in the beginning were all from Mewat. Pehlu Khan was from Mewat, Akbar Khan was from Mewat, Junaid, the boy who was lynched on the train, was from Mewat. And this is the area where this gruesome murder, early part of this year, Nasir and Junaid,
Right.
they were murdered. They were also from this area. So various assaults have been launched. And I must also underline the fact that this is the most backward district of the country. Not by my reckoning, but by the official classification of the Niti Aayog of this country.
Right.
Female literacy is one of the lowest. So a very high poverty, very poor health services right next to Delhi. And also criminality on the rise as a result of all this. In this background, there has been an attempt to, and as I've been saying for some time, that for the last few years, we have seen many attempts to somehow create a spark here, a spark that would then be used to light up the whole of NCR area, if not the whole of Rajasthan, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh. It is in this background that we should see this yatra. Now there is a temple near Nalhar village. There is a Shiv temple, very old temple, where there is a very old practice of offering jal. Shiv ji ke jal jalabhishek karte. This is an old parampara. But the yatra of this kind, called Jalabhishek Yatra, is only 3-year-old. This yatra already has a history of witnessing communal clashes. 2 years ago, during this yatra, a majar in the Nalhar village was broken. But then sanity prevailed. The organizers said, we are sorry, they rebuilt it, and things were settled. So number one, there is a history of violence in this particular thing. Number two, this time there were videos circulating prior to the yatra, which have now become famous. In video, this man who is an outlaw, basically an absconder, Mons Manesar. These are two, third-rate criminals who issues a video saying, "Main aunga wahan pe, aap swagat karenge na," etc. And then even a lower grade video by someone called Bajrangi.
Vittu Bajrangi.
Yeah. In the background, you can hear a song saying "Goli chalegi." Yes. And the references are तुम्हारे जीजा आ रहे हैं, हम अपने ससुराल आ रहे हैं, तुम स्वागत करोगे ना? What does it mean? What exactly are they saying? And then there were counter video, which I have not personally seen, but there was a counter video, I'm told, by some boys from Mewat to say, "ठीक है, हम तुम्हें जवाब देंगे." All this was in the public domain. All this was known. And it was brought to the attention of the administration on 27th of July in the meeting of the Peace Committee. The administration knew everything about it. And then they were told, "Aap chinta na kare, aisa kuch nahi hone denge. Kisi badmash ko nahi aane diya." And what happens on 31st? Not only is the yatra permitted, which is all right. Those who wish to offer prayer must be allowed. This is a right under the Constitution. But all kinds of hoodlums are allowed to come with it. There are more than 150 vehicles, by their own admission, which are allowed in. Not only 150 vehicles, they are allowed to come with arms, lathi, swords, and now we know for sure guns. Another video emerged yesterday, which actually shows gun firing on the ground.
Right.
They were allowed. Now, why does all this happen when you know that there is a history, when you know there are inputs? We now know there were CID inputs. So it is not that something suddenly flared up and happened. It was expected, it was feared, the date and the place was known, and then it happened. And finally, when it happened, there is no security force around.
Right.
For 3 to 4 hours in Nuhu and also in Barkali Chowk, the administration and police just disappears.
Right.
Why is this? One could be that, okay, the local police and administration for some reason are utterly incompetent. I don't think that's the case. It would be unfair to think so. Second is that they were under political instructions to say, now the Home Minister says, I was not given these inputs. Strange. Either he should dismiss the entire police hierarchy there. And then the next day, Home Minister says, don't ask me, ask the Chief Minister, he knows better. So clearly, there is some political instruction here, and the political instruction could be.
If you're saying that, of course, it does look like that there was a political instruction, for this kind of a complete breakdown of law and order. Police seemingly allows this kind of a situation to perpetrate. So my question to you, and a very pinpointed one to you, is that is BJP trying to secure its political ground in Haryana, or is it trying to vitiate the atmosphere, communalize the atmosphere with an eye for 2024 polls, so that it does have a ripple effect in other parts of the country also?
It's both. But before I go into that, let me just finish what I was saying and underline one particular thing, which is that probably there was some kind of an instruction कि एक बार होने देखी जाए, something of that kind. Now that does not justify those who took to stones. While provocation can be understood, yes, they had reasons to be angry, annoyed, suspicious, and provoked. But that some of these May boys took to stone pelting. There is as yet no name of any organization. But yes, they took to stone pelting. And from whatever we know, the 2 Home Guard Jawans got killed because of stone pelting by a crowd which was entirely May Muslim boys. That cannot be exonerated. They must be brought to book. The guilty must be punished. That goes without saying. Why is BJP doing something of this kind? To my mind, it is heavy because partly there is the politics of Haryana, which is BJP has lost considerable political ground due to the farmers' movement. And the idea was that if you can make it Hindu versus Muslim, then the Jats who were seriously alienated from the BJP may come back just as they did in the case of Muzaffarnagar violence. That did not happen. Right. The Jat community firmly spurned the BJP and said, we won't participate in this kind of nonsense. But that may have been one effort. The second, as you hint, is a larger goal. Because Mewat, where it is placed, can be used to ignite violence not merely in Haryana, but also in Rajasthan, also in UP, which is exactly what is being done right now. It is being taken to different parts. So the design then is, and this is a design we have seen in many areas, focus on a Muslim concentration area. Provoke, 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 provoke. If they don't respond, they are नामर्द, मुसलमानों को टाइट कर दिया, ठीक कर दिया, देखा उनके साथ ये कर दिया. And if there is a retaliation, then they are criminals. They need to be taught a lesson. And then you make a big spectacle of the entire community being humiliated, which is exactly, Neelu, what is happening for the last 48 hours as we speak. In Nuh and in other places of Haryana, of Mewat, that district, at least 300 houses have been demolished over the weekend. And throughout yesterday, I kept getting calls from people. Sir, ye kya ho raha hai? Dukanon ko demolish kar rahe hain. Medical stores being demolished, which have proper license and everything. And they're not even being allowed permission to take out the medicines that they have. And the whole thing is being turned into a public spectacle of revenge. Now, when there is a revenge by a community, retribution by a community, it leads to long, deep enmity. When there is retribution by the state, it leads to alienation. And that is what my real fear is. These people who are doing it with an eye to 2024 do do not know what it would do in 2034, 2044, even 2074. These are very deep memories that carry for generations.
Right.
And this is where extremism is born. Mewat has been an example of, when the whole world was being Islamicized and radical Islamism was taking place. These places were completely immune to that. But I really fear that incidents of this kind that we have seen would sow the seeds of extremism in this area.
Absolutely. And that's a very significant point you mentioned. But Dr. Yadav, are you aware of the peace committees which are actually working towards uniting all the alienated groups? Now, if I say, for example, you said that, BJP is trying to woo the Jats back after the farmers' movement fell out, in favor of out of BJP. So, are there groups which are working towards keeping all the communities together at this point so that they do not, get inclined towards a particular party or any other political group?
Dilu, have personally been involved with this. These are more than the official peace committees. There's official peace committee, as I said, which actually met on the 27th. Right. And then there were attempts to call meetings of that peace committee. And the Hindu participants refused to participate in those committees after the 31st incident, partly because they were indeed scared. I can understand why they were scared and deeply apprehensive. There is also the possibility that they were being instructed not to participate in that. So at the local level, all these were happening. But I do want to underline 2 or 3 things. That it is not, one important thing that we must underline about Mewat is throughout these clashes, there was not a single incident of local communities confronting each other. These are outsiders who have come to take part in yatra, who are being attacked by people who have come from different villages in the urban locality. It is sad. But it is not as bad as what happened in Northeast Delhi, where local neighborhoods are fighting each other. Right. That has not happened in Mewat, and we must remember that. Number 2, while this yatra saw this particular violence, there is another yatra which is happening in Mewat for the last 3 weeks. This is the 84 Kos yatra that goes to, this is the Braj 84 Kos yatra. It is going through Mewat. There is no disturbance. In fact, our colleagues have offered shelter to those yatris and they are staying in a Musliman's place while all this tamasha is going on in the other parts of Mewat. And number 3, if violence was prevented, it is precisely by incidents of Hindu-Muslim unity. In Nuhu, a magistrate was caught in the middle of violence. Her vehicle was broken. And she then appealed. It's a it's a jail. She was jail. She appealed to the session judge, who asked the police to help. And police said they were in no position to help. Then it is actually Muslims of that area who went and rescued her. In Barkal Lake, Barkal Chowk area, which was the second site of violence, about 25-30 kilometers away from us. There, the violence was stopped by the local villagers from Nagina village, who came under the leadership of their Muslim Sarpanch. But it was Hindus and Muslims of Nagina together, about 500 of them, who came as a group and chased away these gundas who were in Gunda. Most of them, these were Muslim boys from Mayo Muslim boys. They were chased away by local Hindus and Muslims under the leadership of the Muslim Sarpanch. We also know the story of the Gurukul being saved by the local population. Yes. So there is a ground level amity. The trouble is that outside forces really want to destroy this. And that is what this thing was all about. Somehow trying, when I went there, and because I've been going there again and again, I underline the simple thing that in every area, the local majority community must take the moral responsibility for offering protection to the local minority community. And in this incident, it is the local Mayo Muslim community that must assure the local Hindu community, which happens to be in minority, that their temples and their communities are safe, and they indeed are safe.
Right.
Right now. Those efforts are taking place. The difficulty is that those others who want to go and set up these processes, they are being prevented. Professor Vipin Tripathi, one of the real ambassadors of communal amity in this country, he was prevented from going to Nuhu. He had to come back. So,
but Dr. Yadav, this brings what you've described is really, really disturbing, and the way things are happening, outside elements coming, and vitiating the atmosphere. But my last question to you, sir, is that with these outside elements taking a center stage in many, many pockets of the country like this to spread a communal atmosphere, do you see a visible pattern which is going to become more omnipresent, given the fact that elections are around the corner? And another question, which is just related to this, is that do you think that BJP is more brazen, or if I may ask you, is brazenly more communal in 2024 as compared to 2019 or the previous years?
They have been more brazen ever since 2019. I think there was a difference between the first regime and the second regime. The second regime is out to, brazen they were in any case. But now they have much greater confidence that they can set aside constitutional structures. So the whole bulldozer Raj. And it's absolutely shocking to see that the Supreme Court can watch something like this happen. The rule of law being replaced by a rule of bulldozer. And I do fear that, yes, in any case, there was an older pattern in this country brought about by a book by Steve Wilkinson, I think, which said that just before elections, communal violence goes up. But this is more than long. I do think that as BJP faces the heat on Adani issue, now that Rahul Gandhi is back, now that there is a coalition called India, one way in which BJP would respond to this would be by raising the communal pitch. And I fear that we are going to witness more and more incidents of this kind. Prashant Bhushan last week expressed an apprehension publicly. He said that there could be some sponsored attacks being organized on one of the major temples or something of that kind, things that we have seen in the past. All this to create a communal pitch for the 2024 elections. And that is what worries me. You see, political parties play all kinds of games to win elections. Not all of them are fair. This we have seen in the past as well. But to play those games, which are really like playing with fire, which really, as I said in the case of Nuhu, what has happened is something which would now be remembered for the next 50 years. There's nothing you and I can do about it today now.
You were saying that in 2024, BJP now is more confident of playing with fire, and they'll be playing with bigger fires in the months to come.
They have much greater incentive because they feel more insecure. They have much greater confidence because they know that bulldozer Raj has not been banned. And they are more brazen because they now feel that that certain limits of what you could not have done no longer exist. So yes, we indeed are looking at very difficult times. All kinds of developments, strange accidents may happen, strange attacks may suddenly happen, and the whole country, so real fear is this, that you would have another Pulwama 2, and this Pulwama 2 may not happen at the border. This could be a national security threat somehow being engineered at one of the major religious sites or something of that type. All this is just I'm just spinning things out of my head. These are possibilities. I'm sure those who design these things are far more clever than I am in designing those things, but something which would give the message to an ordinary Hindu voter, look, there is a threat to your country, and the only man who can save you from this threat is Mr. Modi and the BJP. This is a scenario that may be created in the run-up to 2024. We do not know when, we do not know exactly where, we do not know what exactly would be the shape of it. But the idea would be to say, forget your normal calculations, forget your losses and gains, forget your economic condition. now nation's existence is at threat. Come together, vote. This is what I feel. And I suspect we are going to witness many incidents of that kind of again.
Really very disturbing, but yes, one will have to wait and watch and also be alert as to whatever is going to happen in the days to come or months to come. Thank you so much, Dr. Yogendra Yadav. It's always wonderful to have you on the program. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview, subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.